What is up, Steeler fans? It is the second half of the Friday show. It's time for the All Betz Are Off segment. Jeremy Betz joins me. We haven't talked in a couple weeks. Jeremy, how's it going?
It's going good. We missed talking last week for Thursday Night Football, but glad to be back on with you, man.
Yeah, it was a dud. It was a dud for sure. There's pluses and minuses. The more I sit on this, and it's been the way that the fan base has been reacting, it's almost like the season's over because it just is such a lull afterwards, and you've had to sit on this and stir, and it just kind of stews within you. Not everyone was bad, in my opinion. I mean, the offense was really good in that game, and against a really bad defense, I get it, but still, there are some positives, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that if you were going to if you're going to pick a side to struggle early in the season, that you would say they'll have a chance to figure it out later, it would be the defense, right? Because we've seen the offense struggle to start season so many times and never really figure it out. And it's just always a slog on that side of the ball. The offense seems to be the lead factor right now for the team. And that to me is encouraging because I think this unit's played together for years, and the coaching staff's been together for years. And yeah, they've got some new pieces on the back end. Those guys get a little bit more comfortable throughout the season. That side could get fixed. The fact that the offense is playing so well, so efficiently. I mean, when have we ever said that advanced metrics are friendly looking to the Steelers offense? We've never been able to say that in recent years. And that's the case right now. So to me, there are a lot of positives to take away from it. And it starts with the running game for me and Aaron Rodgers and what the tight end group and the wide receiver room are looking like and how Arthur Smith is putting it all together. And, the defense, I think they're going to figure it out at some point personally. And so I take a lot of positives from that game. Plus it's Thursday Night Football on the road against a division opponent. Jeff, we've seen this song and dance 7 times now with Mike Tomlin. So.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Now, let's talk about the defense, because that's the issue. That's the glaring issue here. Is this defense is far too talented, far too experienced to be this statistically bad. And they're awful. It's almost every metric. You talked about advanced metrics for the offense and how they've never been friendly. I cannot remember a time when the Steelers defense has been this low in the major statistical categories. So you said you can see them getting it together. What does that even look like? That's my question.
Yeah. I think to me, the big thing is that the secondary starts gelling together. And when I say that, I mean, it's like their assignment sound. Terrell Austin talked about that Thursday when he was discussing or during his media availability that assignment soundness has not been happening, if you will, on the Steelers defense. And I think that comes with this team figuring out who does what well as far as the coaching staff goes, and then those guys settling into those roles. Getting Joey Porter Jr. back, this was his second game back from injury, working him back into things. What does he do well versus what Jalen Ramsey and Darius Slay do well? Do they do better in 1v1 matchups versus the other? Those types of things. I think that's where it comes together. And if you can start locking things down a little bit more on the back end, I think the pass rush gets home a little bit more, and that collectively makes them play complementary back end to front end, and that's how you fix it. Do we trust the Steelers defensive coaching staff to make the necessary adjustments over time? I think I would give them the benefit of the doubt at this point. Maybe not to be elite top 5 like we were thinking maybe going into this year, but to get back creeping up towards the top 10 and some of those advanced metrics, I think that they can make that work.
I mean, with the offense playing the way that they are, if they were just middle of the road, they would be winning in almost every game they play. Yeah. And that's against teams even like the Buffalo Bills that's coming up on the docket. That's going to be against the Ravens. It's all these teams, and the Packers are no slouch. I'm not saying that. Don't get that wrong. I'm just thinking about AFC teams at this point. But still, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, man, this is incredible when you think about the Steelers offense potentially be able to carry the load. And if the defense can just do enough, and sometimes that might just be taking the ball away, which they've definitely fell into a dry spell, haven't taken it away in the last 2 games. They still have 10 takeaways, but the Steelers, I don't know. It's the defense. It's the defense that is the most frustrating aspect of this team. Let's talk a little bit about Green Bay. But I'll tell you what, I want to get to you sent me some stuff today that you wanted to talk about. And this is coming off. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was going to say real quick too, like to your point about like, if the defense can just be middle of the pack or something, how many other teams can throw Jamar Chase and T Higgins at you? Like at this secondary, the Bengals, again, that's the only team, right? And then you've already played Justin Jefferson and you've gotten that win, but like the Bills, they don't have those types of receivers. The Packers don't even have those types of receivers who they're going to play this week. And so most teams do not have the world beaters on the outside that the Bengals do. And maybe if that's the Steelers' weakness this season and they can fix some of those things moving forward, then I think that they might be okay.
All right. So you did send me some stuff that you wanted to discuss in the segment. I'll let you go ahead and tee that up and talk about that now.
Yeah. So we've been doing this together long enough. I typically have some kind of like historical callback for whatever specific matchup is going on. And this to me is just who Mike Tomlin is and the types of teams that he brings to the table. There's been a couple people I follow on Twitter that have put this out. So this isn't my original work here, but been seeing some of these stats here. The Steelers, in their 9 losses on the road on Thursday Night Football under Mike Tomlin, they have a 7-2 record the following week currently. I'm sorry, 8 losses. If I'm looking at this correctly now. Sorry. So they only have 2 losses the following week is what I'm trying to say. So they come back the next week and they play much better football, right? They are historically very, very good coming off of those Thursday night losses on the road. They get the extra time to prepare for whoever their upcoming opponent is. They usually come out and they usually win that game. And then when you talk about Mike Tomlin, and this is something you talk about all the time, home underdog, right? Mike Tomlin as a home underdog since 2019. So I went to the post prime Ben Roethlisberger era is what I would call this, since 2019. Even in those years, Mike Tomlin is 14-7. That's a 66.7% win percentage. As a home underdog, straight up. And I think that calls to the fact that Mike Tomlin knows how to motivate his team post-loss, that the Steelers are a good rebound team post-loss. And when you combine that with the solid record after a loss on the road on Thursday Night Football, I think the Steelers are sitting in a situation in prime time where they have a chance to right some of the narratives that are going against them at this point.
Yeah, I mean, give Mike Tomlin extra time, and the history shows that he has a really good chance of winning. And it's not that it's a guarantee, but I'll tell you what, like when you look at this game coming up against the Packers and you look at the spread, which has changed, we'll talk about that when we get to our predictions. There's some interesting aspects of this game. And, you know, you look at just this, if people just look at the statistics, they see, wow, like the Packers, they look to be really good. However, when you look a little bit deeper, you see this Packers team. I'm not saying they're not good. They're a one-loss team. Yes, there's a tie there, which is weird, but still, they're a good football team. But I'm not about to crown them as an NFC contender at this stage. Are you?
I mean, I did before the season,
but now
at this point, I mean, I think they're one of the better teams in the NFC. I just don't think that they're like in a tier above where the Steelers are. That would be my description of that, I guess, because I do think that they're one of the best teams in the NFC, but are they that far removed? Like, should they be a clear favorite against Pittsburgh on the road? I don't see that at all. I feel very much like they play a brand of football where it's a lot of highs and a lot of lows in a given game. So they can let opponents stick around. They've done it the last 2 weeks with teams that they should beat pretty handily. And then they gave up 40 points in that tie to the Cowboys just 3 weeks ago. And that sticks with me too. Like, they're not a complete dominant team like you would envision as some of the better teams in the league are. And maybe there aren't many of those this year, Jeff, and that makes things very interesting so far through 7 weeks.
I mean, they're giving up over 20.8, but it's still over 20 points per game. Like, and that's tied for 10th. So that tells you kind of the defensive trend in the NFL right now. Normally, if you're a top 10 defense in terms of points per game surrendered, you're under 20, and you're kind of dominant. The stats don't necessarily ring that to be true, but we'll get to our prediction and talk about this game here in a second. Let's go through the AFC North like we always do and give our picks for the rest of the division. Let's go to Sunday at 1:00. There's two games going on at that time that involve that somehow are interest to Steelers fans. Let's go to Jets at Bengals. The Bengals are coming off the Thursday night win over Pittsburgh. Cincinnati spotting 6.5. The New York Jets have not won a game yet. They have not announced who the quarterback is as of this being recorded. I don't know, man. 6.5 seems low, don't you think?
It does feel like it, especially, coming off how the Bengals played against the Steelers and the high of Joe Flacco and everything. But, there's the NFL is one of those. I mean, the Bengals had not looked good until this last week with Joe Flacco there. So maybe they're looking at it in Vegas like they got the bump from Flacco. They get the bump on Thursday night being at home against a division rival. And now things might come crashing back down to earth a little bit because the team that we've seen, except for that game, has not been very dynamic. Even when Joe Burrow was in for the first game and a half, they were struggling in some regards on offense. So, but seeing as it's how the Jets are in flux and everything there, maybe the cornered animal aspect of this where they just need to get a win, maybe that plays into the spread here. I think I'd take the Jets on the points, but I think the Bengals do win this game.
I think the Bengals win and cover. I think that, I just think that the Jets are really bad. And if they start Tyrod Taylor or Justin Fields, it's not going to matter. It's just not going to matter. But let's go to Baltimore. This is an interesting game. The Ravens, coming off of their bye week, are hosting the Chicago Bears, the 4-2 Bears, the 1-5 Ravens. You're thinking, oh, this game is going to be rather even. No, the Ravens are spotting 6.5. Why? Lamar Jackson is expected to play. Roquan Smith is expected to play. Kyle Hamilton, all these pieces that were missing before their bye week. Baltimore minus 6.5. What do you think here?
I think if you're going to bet this game, do it now and take the Bears on the points because there's a chance Lamar Jackson doesn't play. I mean, Jeremy Fowler and Dan Graziano were saying there's a world where he sits out one more week and then comes back next week for the Ravens. But either way, I think this Bears team is going to be way more game than people are giving credit for, especially with that spread. I think that they're going to make life difficult on offense for that Ravens defense that has struggled with or without their stars this season. So give me the Bears on the points, and they might win this game outright, Jeff. I've got a feeling they might actually do that.
I'm with you with the Bears getting 6.5. And like you said, if Lamar's ruled out, that line's going to change quickly. Yeah. But then, hey, if you really like the Bears, plus 240 on the money line, it might not be a bad play. Let's go to the last AFC North game before the Steelers. The Browns, who just came off that big victory last week over Miami. Miami sucks, but you know what I'm saying. They go to New England. New England's giving 7.5 here. I thought that was a surprising spread as well. The 2-5 Browns, the 5-2 Patriots. What do you think about this game?
I think the Patriots are several tiers above the Cleveland Browns, and this is going to be nothing for Cleveland like it was for them last week. Now, are the Browns at home? Did you say? I missed that.
Patriots are hosting in Foxborough.
Okay, so that makes it even more clearly in favor of the Patriots, in my opinion, because the Browns defense plays better at home. It's the splits home and road for their defense are pretty staggering under Jim Schwartz. So if you just go off of that and the fact that I think the Miami Dolphins are maybe the worst team in football and the New England Patriots might be this year's Washington Commanders type team, then I'm taking the Patriots on those points. Drake May's playing out of his mind. To me, he was the best quarterback in the draft class last year. And I think that he's kind of starting to live up to that as to what he can do in multiple assets or aspects of the game as a dual threat.
I'm with you with the Patriots. I do think they cover. I think that the Browns' success last week was against a really bad Miami team. It was at home. They're up in Gillette now. I think Drake May, you've been on the Patriots all year, so I want to give you credit for that. You've been all over it. So let's go to the game everyone cares about, Sunday Night Football. Packers 4-1-1, Steelers 4-2. This line has shifted dramatically. It was at 3.5 just a day ago. Now it's down to either 3, depending on your sports book, or the one that I was looking at yesterday is now down to 2.5, dropped an entire point. Still, the Steelers are home dogs with a total of 45.5. What do you think about this game?
I got in on this one while it was 3.5, so I feel good about
good
that.
For you. Good for you.
Yeah. So that line was crazy. Not crazy. Crazy to me as a Steelers fan, but from an outside perspective, I think, very reasonable if you're looking at like, the Packers and their record and who they are and what they're known for, and the Steelers coming off this loss. And but when I look at this matchup specifically, Jeff, I think this is a great matchup for Pittsburgh. Jordan Love is I looked this up. He's ranked 36 out of 36 qualifying quarterbacks in percentage of throws under 2.5 seconds. He wants to hold on to the football and big game hunt down the field. And that plays into the Steelers' desire to rush the passer and their ability to do so with the 3 guys off the edge. I think that the Steelers are going to key on Josh Jacobs this week, and they're not going to let him beat them. They were a little more concerned about Jamar Chase and company, rightfully so. And Chase Brown ran all over him this last week. I think that the Steelers defense has a major rebound this week. And then from an offensive perspective, the Packers are dead last in the NFL in success rate allowed on intermediate throws in the middle of the field. And the Steelers are top 10 in that regard on offense. So I think the Steelers have kind of a matchup based advantage here. Plus it's at home, plus their dogs at home, plus Mike Tomlin's record in primetime at home. I just think that this sets up really well for the Steelers. I think they win this game fairly handily, Jeff. I'm going 28-17 as my final score. Pittsburgh Steelers get a fun victory for Steelers fans and rewrite some of the narratives after this game.
Now, before people start to say, well, here we go, 2 homers that are talking about the game. We didn't do this last week, but you picked the Bengals. If you go to back, you can see the published article at our SCN staff picks. He took the Bengals to win last week. So if you're thinking that this is just Homer Town, no, that's me, but that's not him necessarily. So I'm going to take the Steelers to win this game for all the reasons that we've already talked about. They have the rest advantage here because the Packers played a later game last week and the Steelers had the Thursday night rest advantage. I think they're going to be fine from a health perspective. They're going to get Calvin Austin back. They might be getting Pat Freiermuth going. That offense is starting to look lethal. I like the Steelers in a closer game than you predicted, but 26-23. I like the Steelers to pull out the victory at Acrisure Stadium, advancing the record to 5-2, and then what's going to be a really fun game between the Colts and the Steelers in Pittsburgh in the following week. But Jeremy, go ahead and plug. You do final thoughts, plug what you're doing for Steel Curtain Network, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess as a final thought on this one, like the Steelers, we know Mike Tomlin and company, that they don't typically stay down at this point in the season. Like they're going to rebound here. And whether that's in the form of a win or a close loss where you feel better about the defense maybe after this game, I think that either way, we're going to come out of this with some kind of moral victory to go along with whatever the actual win-loss score is at the end of this game. So I feel good about the Steelers. I feel better about them than I guess the consensus is. And maybe that's just wishful thinking. We'll see. But that's my final thought on that. And then follow me on X at the Betz 93. Got a lot going on there. Posting my articles and everything like that. And steelcurtainnetwork.com. I did a feature on Aaron Rodgers and the 2026 saga that is now all of a sudden out there. And so check that out. The stock report's going to be coming out later this week than it's been the last few weeks, but I'm writing that and that'll be out here before the game. So check that out as well. Steelers Fix, Draft Dynasty podcast, all that normal stuff for me. Stay tuned.
All right, man. Thanks, Jeremy. Enjoy the game, and we'll talk next week. Take it easy.
Have a good one, Jeff.